Why is this always so awkward at first? Are we still receiving sound? Yeah,
Hello?
we are. Hey guys, it's Jono and Jordan here from Folha, and welcome back to another one of our podcasts.
Hi everyone, we're so excited to be here today, and we're going to be chatting a little bit about plant care, plant routines, some of the good habits and bad habits that we have in our home.
Yeah, certainly sharing our routine as well. Some tips and tricks that we've kind of used that we most of the time will suggest to our customers as well, I'd say.
Everything from lighting, watering, general plant care, all those tips and tricks.
Yeah. Okay. So today we're going to start off with just talking about a plant that we kind of will walk past every day in the shop, and we'll eye it out, and we'll wish that we had it, but we just
Desperately
haven't.
want it in our collection.
Yeah, but we haven't bought it yet. We haven't plucked up enough courage to buy that plant yet. So Jordan, please begin with your baby.
Thank you very much. My one I decided to show everyone today is called the Ascananthus, otherwise known as the lipstick vine. This specific variety or version is the twister. In store, we do also have the ruster and the bolero as well.
Slight difference, I think, between they're quite similar, ruster and the twister, but the twister's more kind of like, the leaves are a lot smaller and they're more compact and they've kind of been pulled in at the top as well, whereas the ruster's just more curly than it is kind of bent in half like that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
The reason why I love this plant is just it looks so fun. It has such a fun characteristic. The leaves kind of curl and twist as the name suggests, and it really just looks like a spring in action.
It is. It's like hair in a way. It's like wacky, wild, permed hair, you know, that's just kind of standing there, kind of bouncing around. Yeah.
Exactly.
Beautiful.
They're really, really fun, and I think the reason why I like them so much is not even because they bloom. That's just an additional feature. But
Yeah.
I think the leaves and the foliage itself is so interesting.
It's beautiful.
That I really desperately want one in my home.
We get a lot of customers looking at these things saying, what is this? You know, I've never seen a plant like this before. So it doesn't certainly pull up a lot of interest.
Yeah.
And what's nice is that they grow super long as well. So they're really easy to propagate. You can kind of just trim it, take off some leaves, put the nodes in water, and it takes a while, but it will eventually propagate. But really nice plant to, you know, propagate, share around like that. And the reason it gets its name is because the flower literally looks like lipstick. Like a lipstick tube, isn't it? Is it a tube?
Yeah, it looks like a red maroon tube of lipstick as it unfolds.
And it literally grows and it literally looks like a piece of lipstick that's been kind of like used already at angle at the top. It's amazing, yeah.
And then right after the lipstick phase, it bursts into like a beautiful flower. It's really fun to watch. And
absolutely beautiful.
Yeah,
stunning.
When the plant is blooming, it has blooms in all the different stages as well. So you can see when it's just coming out, when it's already exploded, when it looks like the lipstick, and it's just an all-around really beautiful plant. And Jonathan, which plant did you decide to choose and show us today?
So this one I've had my eyes on for a really long time. It's a Hoya linearis, and it is extraordinary. There's a couple of reasons why I like it. It's obviously, you and I like Hoyas a lot, because they're diverse, you know, they're stunning. They are, however, slow growing, so I do have some cuttings, but it's going to take so long. These are probably almost 2 years old, I would say. I mean,
I agree.
Is that excessive? Is that
home.
2 years old, I'd say?
No, 2 years is a fair.
And I mean, we get them in like this. They just grow super, super slowly, but I just adore their look. It's like swampy vibes for me. I don't know, like in a cartoon, like you see a swamp and you see these kind of trees like hanging down into the water. I don't know, and I just adore that. It's so delicate as well. They do also flower if you put them in the right conditions. And the flowers smell amazing. They look amazing.
And particularly with this Hoya, it looks really nice when it's nice and full, and when it's nice and really long. It just is so beautiful
it really
to look
does.
at.
We had one here a couple of months ago. I don't know if you saw it, but it was in one of our old garth pots, and it was basically like double the length of this, but completely around the pot. It was beautiful, But that one had obviously come in looking like this, then another 2 years on top of that. So it was really big, but it was also really old. And there was only one of them as well, so pretty sad. But yeah, Hoya linearis is my favorite, as you know, clearly. So guys, now we're going to go into care routines, and specifically our specific care routines. They are quite precise, you know, they're quite personalized as well. Everyone's care routine is going to be a little bit different based on your living space, you know, based on how many plants you have, what kind of plants you have. But when you have as many plants as we do, you know, you kind of fall into a very specific way of taking care of your plants. And we're going to mention a little bit of watering, how we water them, what we do, how we take care of them. We're also going to mention some of our bad habits as well. I certainly know I have a few. Some bad, some good, so we'll see. But yeah, we're just going to go over our care routines as well.
Definitely, yeah. So generally, when you take care of your plants, how long do you think, from start to finish, does it take you to take care of your plants?
I often get asked this question, and it's tricky because, I don't do all of my plants at the same time. And that's why I got so many, because I get bored. And if I've watered, just say I had 10 plants in total and I watered them all this week, I'm probably not going to have to water them again for the next 2 weeks.
Exactly.
So having almost 80 plants really does give you the opportunity to be able to always be dealing with the plants. So what I would do is I'll go around pretty much, it's not every day, but it's roughly every 2-3 days. I'll go around to all of my plants. I'll look at the ones, first of all, that need a lot of water, my peace in the home, my calatheas. What else doesn't like to dry out that I've got? Spathiphyllum, yes, she often faints. Shame, I don't care for her as much as I should.
Your nerve plant?
My nerve plant, certainly.
What's great when you have a big collection, or when you have a collection that's filled with lots of different types of plants, it's nice when you have plants that are more easy care, that you only have to look at once every week, 2 weeks. Sometimes.
Which is your way of doing things as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Some of my plants, for example, like my big fiddle, I haven't watered in over 2 weeks, only because it's winter, it doesn't need to be watered as much.
Exactly,
the ZZ plants don't necessarily need to be watered often.
Yeah.
So it is really nice when you have something like a nerve plant, or I have a zebra plant, for example, that does need you a little bit of attention.
They're dramatic.
Yeah.
Yeah, they need a lot of attention. They'll literally faint. They'll lie and scream at you until you water them,
Exactly. It's nice to have something that when you come home you have to remember,
exactly,
yes, you might need attention.
Yeah. So, with those plants, I'll check them first usually. And then I'll kind of, along the way, I'll just check them randomly, and I oftentimes miss one, I must say. That's probably one of my bad habits, we'll start off the list. But number one, I'll miss some plants, and... but I kind of take them in batches of maybe 10 at a time.
Okay.
And water them. So I would say in total it'll maybe take me about an hour and a half.
Okay.
To do a whole check. Kind of do the whole check, look for pests, look for watering, look for repotting. I kind of do the whole thing. And then maybe another 45 minutes when I water it as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So not
so bad.
too long, but I enjoy it. So
Exactly.
It doesn't really take too much, valuable time out of my day as well. So
I agree. Yeah. I was also going to say, it takes me about 2 hours to check every plant. But then again, when you check your plants, you don't necessarily need to water or repot or tend to every single one of them.
As we said, I think in our last podcast, pest control is very important.
Definitely.
So checking for pests is probably some of the most time-consuming work you can do.
Yes.
Because it's quite precise. You have to look over the leaves, new growth,
and you have to be
quite
meticulous as well.
Exactly. Yeah. So, it depends on what you're doing, but you kind of try and throw it all in one go. Do your plant, do your kind of root check, do your watering, clean the leaves if necessary, and check for your pests. Make sure to check for your pests.
Exactly. And seeing as most of us work during the week, we only really get time on the weekends or after hours, after work. So really, plants are just about how much time you can designate to plant care.
Exactly.
So what I like to do as well is I like to break up my spaces. So what I have in my home is my kitchen and my bedroom, because I live in a studio, is kind of one section, and I know that could take me 20 minutes to look through. I don't have that many plants there because it's quite a low light area, so I have a very small amount of plants there. And then opposite to that, I have 2 big plant shelves, and that would take me probably about an hour to get through. So if I know that I only have 20 minutes time to kind of look after my plants, I'll tackle the bedroom and the kitchen.
You know which ones you need to go for, yeah. Do you by any chance split your plants up into different care needs, or they're pretty much mixed all over? Just fitting in. Like, do you have your succulents in this corner? Do you have your kind of water lovers in that corner? Or
I have more based on light, because
I suppose that's probably most appropriate.
My space is very light oriented.
Okay.
I organize my plants not necessarily care orientated, but light.
Okay.
So if they all get the same kind of light, I'll mix and mash them.
Yes, yeah.
I kind of like to bounce between peperomia and Hoya and calathea and different types of plants.
Yeah.
So it's definitely got to do with the light.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah. I also do I move my plants around a lot. But I don't necessarily have any specifics. I do, however, I've got a nice kind of sunroom in the big, at like an enclosed balcony, which is quite small, but that's my plant room. That's where it gets the most amount of light. It's got windows all over it. But then where my bed and kind of my lounge and kitchen are, it gets lower light. So I think that's the only thing. The lower light plants kind of sit on that side, because there's no more space to put them on the other side. I'm one of those who will take a lower light plant, put it in bright light because I want to see it grow fast, you know. I'm just impatient in that kind of sense. But that's the only way I would kind of separate my plants. Put the lower light ones in the lower light spot and the rest of them kind of in the brighter spot.
And
the favourites too.
Definitely.
The favourites get the brighter light, I must say. I'm sorry,
I
don't tell them.
moved all of my favourite plants into my eye line or eyesight when I sit down on my couch. So all of my favourite plants, I can see them all and I know if they're doing good or not doing good.
Do you often find yourself like, I don't know if you've got a TV in your place, but trying to watch TV, but you're sitting there staring at your plants and like just looking around at your plants all the time?
Every single show I watch, I might as well turn the TV off and listen to it as a podcast.
Same.
To be honest, I sit there and I veer my eyes over and I just look at my plants.
And then I'll just say, okay, fine, I'm getting up. I'm going to leave this playing in the background and I'm going to go deal with my plants.
Exactly.
You know? And then often my head's like around the corner, like I'm holding a plant, I'm checking it for watering, and I'm trying to watch the show. It's just chaos.
I will sometimes
chaos.
take my plant to water, and as I'm watering it, as I let it drain through, I'll turn and then watch the show.
Yes, just go sit there and watch the show for a bit and check for the water, come back.
Exactly. Yeah.
So now let's go into watering. How do you, because I often, I'm not going to say argue, but customers don't get that you have to be a little bit more, careful when watering your plants. You can't just water it in the pot or in the drip tray, as we went through before.
So I think,
so what is your, because, obviously when we're watering 10, 15, sometimes 20 plants in one day, how do you deal with that watering? Where do you water it? How do you...
Sure. I think watering is a lot more specific and a lot more careful than some people think. I don't water my plants on the spot. That's not a habit that I like to do.
It's more chaotic that way. You've got to deal with the draining water. You've got to use a watering can. You don't necessarily soak the soil enough as well. So I get you, yeah.
I also don't bottom water my plants.
Same.
So bottom watering is when you use a thicker drip tray or any kind of tray or bowl and place the water inside the bowl tray and then the roots kind of suck it up from the bottom.
Yeah.
So that's a great way to water your plants if you you don't have the time to water them and take care of them immediately.
Yeah, you're just going to pop them in the water and just let them sit there until they're done.
Exactly, and then you can just move them out and place them back. It's also a great way to try and avoid getting fungus gnats.
I was just about to add fungus gnats, yeah. They thrive in moisture. It's those little flies that if you disturb your plant, they'll kind of fly off in your face, and you'll probably always see one flying around your room.
Exactly.
And killing the moisture in that top layer of soil is very important to killing the eggs and the larvae and all of that stuff.
So I know bottom watering is one way for people. They kind of prefer to do that just so that they know they won't get fungus gnats.
Yeah.
But what I generally like to do is I have a little jug of water. It's a 1.5 litre jug, and I like to use a jug because then when I am fertilizing in spring and summer, I can just fertilize in the jug, pre-mix it already.
You already have your ratios to be able to mix as well. 1.5 litres, it's pretty much a standard.
Yeah. So what I do is I have a clear sink, nothing in the sink. I will go check my plants. If I have 1 or 2 plants that need watering, I'll take them to the sink. I'll give them water. I'll just pour them straight in. And then I'll watch as the water comes out the bottom of the pot. I'll place it in the sink and wait for it to dry out as I carry on checking my other plants.
Okay.
So there's kind of like a little bit of a line going in my kitchen where the ones that are still needing to be watered and then the ones that have been watered and placed back. And there's like this little conveyor belt of each plant moves up into the sink.
The best feeling is when you've just watered them all and they're all ready and you can just start taking one by one back to put them in their spot. Yeah.
Do you put your plants back in the same spot every time?
No.
Me neither.
Always. Not always. The bigger ones I'll leave.
Yeah.
Because I can never find space, like my big alocasia, my fiddle leaf, my ficuses, things like that. I just kind of leave them.
And usually if they're happy, because they are so big, if they're happy in the spot,
leave them.
Yeah.
Especially ficus. Don't move them around if they're happy, guys, because they'll drop leaves on you, hey? They will. Just to spite you. Yeah. So now my watering routine is a little bit different. Because I tend to be a little bit, bad habit number two, I tend to be a little bit lazy with wiping down my leaves, which is very important, don't get me wrong. So what I do is I have a shower bath combo and kind of like a hose where I can move the shower around, I place about 3 plants at a time in there and I just shower them.
That's amazing.
And what I like to do is kind of, like imitate rain, kind of like shower it over the leaves. I like to turn the leaves upside down to rinse them because this, for number one, gets rid of spider mites, which is what I personally struggle with the most. I've never had fungus gnats.
Yeah.
I never really had aphids, but I've had spider mites and I've had mealybug.
Okay.
Spider mites is the worst and they don't like moisture, so I like to put my leaves upside down and just like gently move them, rinse the leaf while the shower is still coming on them. And it fills up the soil, and then, kind of let it do its soaking. I'll go watch TV, wait for a bit, and then come back and do the second soaking, and then I kind of take it out. And
Amazing.
It's basically like a big drip tray as well, because it all just drains,
Exactly. I do the exact same thing with my fiddle leaf figs.
Okay.
I know they like to be showered as well. And
Yes.
because they have such big leaves, it's nice to shower them.
That's the thing
and
as well,
the
yeah.
water kind of cleans them.
And they get so
it's
beautifully shiny as well.
Exactly.
I don't recommend leaf shine, but they are naturally shiny leaves.
Exactly.
So just rinse them off, wipe them, and they become so shiny, I promise you.
Yeah.
One thing is, bad habit number 3, we're getting a bit far with this. I don't always wait for my plant to completely stop dripping before I take it back, which is not ideal because I have parquet flooring, which is wood, but at the end of watering probably about 10-15 plants, there's a lovely little water trail going from the bathroom back to the plant room, and then it drips a little bit on the counters, but I've got kind of like cheaper trestle tables, shelving, things like that, so I'm not too worried about wetting my furniture. But I know some people are dealing with, oak, things like that they don't want to get wet, that can't get wet. So wait for it to stop dripping. Just, it's so easy. I don't know why I don't do it, but just dry the bottom of your pot, return it back to the spot as well.
Definitely.
Recommend that.
Do you do cover pots or drip trays?
I have no cover pots.
Okay.
So all of my plants are either in nursery pots. Is that bad habit number 4?
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
And then do you have drip trays underneath?
And I don't use drip trays either.
Okay.
I'm not a drip tray user.
Okay.
Do you use drip trays?
So what I like to do is I like to use old plates. I'm not sure. I like the really textured,
Okay, I get you.
really beautifully
I
patterned
actually
and
lie.
speckled.
I do have a couple of those.
Okay.
Just ones that sit on the wooden floor.
Okay.
I just put a tray, and
Yeah.
I've got like a little decorative tray or stuff like that. But usually I don't like drip trays.
Okay.
Yeah.
The really, really old school, like 60s plates, teacups,
Beautiful.
they're usually like really beautiful browns or like
Yes,
they're
yes.
faded tones, like an ombre texture. They're really, really nice, and I can find quite a lot of them at charity
As cover
shops.
pots.
As drip trays.
As drip tray plates, you said. Okay,
yeah,
not
so like
mugs,
little
alright,
teacup
yeah.
plates.
Okay.
They're really, really nice to use as
Sweet,
little
man.
drip trays.
I love
so
that.
I have them all different types, different kinds, and usually when I
lovely.
find them, I buy 2 or 3 at a time because
Okay.
they're like £4 at a charity shop.
I mean,
A
come
£4
on.
drip tray.
And I love that kind of vintage look as well. I really
Exactly.
do. Yeah. Okay, well that's a good idea. Yeah, but I must say I have damaged my trestle table a little bit, even though I don't really mind. But still, I really should dry off the plants before I bring them out of the bathroom. Yeah. Anyway, one thing I must add as well is prayer plants, Calatheas, Marantas, Stramanthe, Tenanthe, things like that. I love saying those all together. I really do. They like to be rinsed out, so I do recommend showering those, especially to clean their leaves, give them extra humidity, and to make sure that you rinse out those built-up minerals in the soil because they don't like built-up minerals.
Okay.
So don't bottom water your Calatheas. If you do, you can only do it once before you do another rinse out, and then rinse it out properly. So I would recommend showering it like that.
Okay.
It's a fantastic way to do it, yeah. So Jordan, we get all of these warnings about not watering your plants so frequently in winter, and I didn't really understand it until this winter hit. It's real.
Yeah,
it is real.
definitely.
I have some plants that have not dried out in like 2-3 weeks that usually dry out so often that I just haven't been able to water. It's wild. It's so weird.
And I think the key is not to panic.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Don't stress and then overwater your plant potentially, and then that
Exactly.
could lead to root rot,
Yeah.
and then
Because we're taking these plants out of places that don't necessarily go through cold winters like we do in Cape Town, it's okay for them to look a little bit under the weather during winter. They're not getting enough light. It's cold. Most plants don't like to drop below 18 degrees Celsius. And so just give them a bit of time, yeah. The only like watering, do not, if your soil is wet, do not water your plant. People think giving it extra water is going to help it along, but it really could be the worst thing to give it. So.
And even if you are used to giving your plant water once a week, for example, with my fiddle leaf fig, every single Thursday in summer, once a week, I
Yeah.
go and give it a nice good shower under the shower.
Because you knew it was drying out that quickly.
Exactly.
But that's
And I
exactly why I
knew-
tell people, don't keep a schedule.
Exactly.
Because when winter hits, it completely changes.
And exactly that. I checked my fiddle leaf fig soil, and after the first week it was fine. Even after the
Yeah.
second week it was fine. So really always check your plant soil before you give it water.
Definitely, yeah.
Best tip.
And in winter, try and keep your plants a little bit away from the windows. Draw your curtains. It helps keeping the heat in. No cold drafts on them as well. And lower the watering, definitely.
So guys, whenever we're talking about plant routines and plant care, we know that everyone's is going to look slightly different. Depending on the light you get, the plants you like to own, or how often you are able to care for your plants, your routine is going to look different to ours.
Definitely,
for sure.
yeah. I mean, the customers that we are involved with every day, I learn something new every day with how they water their plants, you know.
Exactly.
One thing is that, guys, the ice cube thing needs to stop.
Please, don't.
It really does. So many people do that. I heard someone asking you today about watering their, was it a succulent they got?
No, it was just a normal, it was a
normal
peperomia actually.
Peppermint. It doesn't like a lot of water, but don't put an ice block on those roots, guys.
Especially
please.
in winter, the cold water
Exactly,
is going to
yeah.
shock the roots and it might cause damage to your plants.
It's
as
a good
well.
amount of water to kind of give to your plant, but I would recommend maybe 2 ice blocks, but that cold water is just not ideal.
Exactly.
Especially orchids as well. I mean, they just don't like it. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
But yeah, definitely personalized. You know, we're not telling you what to do. We're just kind of sharing a bit of our info.
Exactly.
It seems to work for us, so yeah, hopefully it'll work for you guys.
If you have any questions or if you have any recommendations for us, please let us know. We'd love to
Definitely.
hear from you.
You know, we'd love to open up a Q&A session, maybe answer a couple of questions next time as well. We did get a couple of questions directed to us, and if so, you know, we kind of do these monthly, and if you need it to be answered quicker than that, just direct them to our DMs. We always have someone ready to reply.
Exactly.
But we definitely love to answer some questions next time as well, so direct them to us.
Any type of plant questions are welcome.
And also info as well, you know, we're also here to learn something new. So
Exactly.
if you've got something to teach us,
An
please do.
interesting fact, drop it down.
Definitely, yeah, we'd love to hear it. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for listening, and we'll
Thank
see you next month.
Yeah,
Cool.
see you very soon.
Bye-bye. Goodness, I'm not showing my hands. My fingers are looking.
Dirty. Oh my god,
Repulsive.
asshole. Ugh. I was pointing something to a customer today and I went,
I know, so like I always try and like hold the plant like this so that they don't see my hands, you know, trying to like show them like a bottle of wine. Gosh.
Yeah,
It's
that's
just one of
funny.
those things. You can keep them short, but it's still.
We work with plants. I mean, I literally will
Exactly.
come with clean nails, painted, everything. I put my finger in to check soil and it's dirty.
But not everyone knows we work with plants. So you like go to the shop and someone like looks
Oh,
at your
my word.
finger and they like start walking away. We're not doing any hand close-ups today, which is good.
That's
Right.
okay.
And the chair's sturdy today. So
Woohoo!
we're fine.
Amazing.
Okay.